Welcome to another Tackle Obesity show featuring Coach Richard Walker, our host, members of the NFL alumni, lifestyle weight loss experts, and key social media influencers that are making a difference. Now, Coach Richard Walker.
Meet our incredible guest, women's weight loss expert and founder of Body Smart Fitness, Jaymie Moran, who has helped coached and transformed women to becoming the best version of themselves through weight loss and management. Get ready to break a sweat and ignite your weight management journey like never before. Listen to his truly inspirational discussion in tackling obesity. He has all the tips and tricks you need. Head over to the Tackle Obesity website and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube for updates and live coverage. Let's make 2024 the year we tackle obesity together. See you there.
In behalf of our host Richard Walker, let's welcome Russ Allen and our guest, Jaymie Moran. Together, let's tackle obesity.
With women, that is so essential. They struggle so much. I have two daughters.
Yeah.
And they, the one is extremely athletic and active. So she does not have an overt struggle with weight. The other one is struggled with her weight really all of her, mature life. And so you're inspiring, you're smart, you're focused on one area, go with what you know, and you've been able to scale what you're doing, which is terrific.
Thank you.
So I'd love for you to kind of give an overview of what Body Smart is doing, and then we can start digging in, But
So we specifically help women over 30 lose 30 to 60 pounds in under 6 months. And unlike a lot of normal diets out there or training plans, we do it without restrictive diets or countless hours in the gym or, having clarity. We actually create a lot of clarity for people and actually gamify the process to make it more simplistic and to actually make it easier to start seeing the results you want instead of more difficult.
I noticed you had an app that is part of your system.
Correct.
And that app, what percent of the role of the experience someone has with Body Smart is managed by the app, and how much is through the coaching? And you have lots of different programs that you do as a very comprehensive approach. I'd love to let you expand on that.
Yeah, so the app is just a tool. The actual main experience is with the coach. So you work with a coach on a one-to-one, have a one-to-one experience with the coach, and it's their job ultimately to hold you accountable, be your cheerleader, and create clarity for the next steps that you need to take. So for a lot of people, when they'll come in, they'll feel really overwhelmed with their diet, with their movement habits, with their training, their nutrition, their sleep, and it's often like, where do we even start? And there's a lot of overwhelming confusion, and it's our job as coaches and professionals to really look at that individual and understand what are going to be the bigger rocks. So the biggest rocks are often going to see the biggest results in the shortest amount of time with the least effort. And for that, it really capitalizes on helping people take those first couple of steps, but also maximize the results that they see. And then you get like an initial motivation. So that's typically something you hear a lot of clients say is, I just need to be motivated to take that next step, or I just need to be motivated with my diet or my training. When matter of fact, motivation actually comes from being in motion. So actually taking the steps and seeing the results, and then feeling motivated by the actions and the steps that you've actually taken.
Yeah, that's great. What do you have weekly check-ins with your coach, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we'll have a we'll have a breakthrough call to make sure that the person's ready. Just like in counseling or therapy or anything else, the person has to want to make a change. If we're trying to pull somebody's teeth or drag them along, you'll only get somebody so far. So there has to be a desire to want and change. And we'll find that out on the breakthrough call. After that, we'll enroll people and they'll start in a kickstart week. So in that kickstart week, we get everyone set up on the apps that we use, and then we set some initial habits. And they could just be as simple as, prioritizing better sleep, understanding what fundamentals are going to make you have a better night's sleep, whether that's the quantity or the quality of your sleep, maybe improving some of your movement habits. So for some people, like I think the average American is doing around 3,000 to 4,000 steps. So if we could even just increase that to 5,000 or 6,000 steps, that over a week actually really increases your calorie expenditure. And it's just great for people's overall physical and mental health. And then, like I said, just keeping it simple and easy to begin with, and then really letting the compounding effect start to take place. So a huge philosophy at Body Smart is that we focus on getting 1% better every day. And that doesn't seem like that much. It seems very in reach. But if you get 1% better every day over the course of a year, you've got 37 times better. So if you don't really know anything about your nutrition and you get 37 times better in a year, you're going to be considerably better than where you started. And nutrition and training and stress management and sleep, these are all like skills that you can start to get better at over time. And once you master them, the return that you have is lifelong, because a lot of these things that we're talking about here, these are skills that will last for the rest of your life.
One of the things we've done is produce a video series that works for both adults and children. And the NFL alumni, our mission is to support people in tackling obesity. We don't provide coaching. We edify coaches like yourself. We think you're a critical part of it. And because if you're not held accountable, it is so much harder. And a coach, if they really engage you, makes it so much easier, to stay motivated. To your point, when you run into something that's a block or you plateau on something, somebody outside of you can say, well, why don't you look at this and look at that?
Accountability in coaching, I think it's we're 95% more likely to take action if we're held accountable to a certain person or process. So, the accountability aspect of coaching is huge. When it comes to Friday evening and we've had a hard week at work and the kids have been driving us crazy, it's so much easier at that time to just get a takeout or get a drive-through on the way home, because it's the easier route to take. Knowing that you're accountable to a coach sometimes who wants you to make better decisions, not just for them to help you see success, but for you to see success, can really drive that positive behavior and positive actions. And then off the back of that, you get up on Saturday, you feel proud of the decisions you've made. Then those positive decisions, seep into the weekend. And then it just starts to really compound. So, accountability and great coaching and having that cheerleader there can really be vital for people who have struggled, not just for years. Like most of our clients have struggled for decades. So, it's a lot of failure to have behind you. If you've tried something for 20 years and not been able to see success, all you kind of know is kind of losing and failing and this being a struggle. So when you kind of get a coach behind you and you're able to start stacking some wins and build the evidence behind you that you can win, it really starts to bring back that self-belief of, hey, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can become a fit and healthy person. And beliefs are extremely powerful.
Yeah, well, and getting those beliefs reinforced. Is there a component where there's a community experience within your coaching program?
Yeah, so each one of our coaches works with around 50 to 60 clients on a one-on-one basis. They have a WhatsApp group community where the clients are in there, and it's extremely uplifting. Something we hear from a lot of the ladies that we've worked with in the past is it can feel quite alone sometimes. Sometimes they don't want to tell their partner or their friends because they failed for so long. It's like, oh, Sally's on another diet. How long is this one going to last? There's kind of this judgment and shame. So sometimes the journey can feel quite personal. And having like another group of, 40, 50 women who can share that experience with you. And some of these ladies might be a couple of steps behind you and some might be a couple of steps in front. And it's just great to see the commonalities of like, oh, I'm not the only person who's struggling with this. And that can really give you reassurance. Bless you. in the steps that you need to take. So yeah, community is huge, especially a community of people who are like-minded and possibly going through the same struggles.
Sure. I coached a group of NFL players who were retired. It was all men, kind of the opposite. These are all older guys, and the oldest was 79, and he lost 49 pounds.
Wow. Amazing.
The one who lost the most pounds is actually Richard Walker, who has become my business partner. But and he is our head coach. And Richard has lost over 120 pounds.
Amazing.
And it's such a great experience. I met Richard at the Super Bowl in LA, and we were in what's called media row, where all the media gather, and they each have a desk. So he had a desk, but he was up in the green room, and he was stuffing his pockets with chips and everything. And I'm telling him what I'm doing with the NFL guys, and he goes, I think I could do that. And I'm looking at him, he was over 420 pounds.
Wow.
He's 6'6", right? And he's a massive guy. I go, yeah, sure, good, let's do it. But he stuck with it, and he lost 92 pounds in his first. And we used a meal replacement program, which was fairly straightforward. And for some people, that really works. The challenge is to maintain after, because if you don't establish habits, you don't get anywhere, really, because it's what you just said. It's a diet. It's not a lifestyle, and you're really probably most effective if you can establish lifestyle changes. I'd love for you to expand on that.
Yeah, it's there's a really famous saying called "Show me your habits, and I'll show you your future." And it's because your habits and what you do on a day-to-day basis really do dictate, where you're going to go. If you've got great financial habits today, they will often compound and you'll be wealthier in the future. If you've got great health habits today, you're going to continue to be the healthiest version of yourself in the future, versus if you have not healthy habits right now, the same can apply. They can compound in a negative way. So really getting your habits in a great place. So it does, and it sounds a bit cliche sometimes. I think people push back when it's like, oh, it's just got to be a lifestyle, but it really does. And I think where people can't see themselves becoming a fit and healthy person, or I even identifying as a fit and healthy person, like, hey, that's Sandra, she's really fit, she's really active, is that the experience has been quite painful for people in the past. Like, they've not enjoyed exercise has felt like a punishment to lose weight. Diets they've been on have been extremely restrictive and painful. So the experience of trying to be healthy has been very painful, and it doesn't need to be that way. Often what people need to do is start taking these small steps that feel more inviting and actually a little bit easier. And then you start to see, as we were saying a bit earlier, that positive feedback loop of, hey, like, I've been eating healthier, and I've been eating, lots of whole foods and really getting more nutrients in my diet. And I'm still enjoying the odd bit of chocolate and ice cream, and I'm still factoring that into my diet, but I feel great. I've got more energy. And you then start to actually want to choose to eat the healthier food instead of the maybe more unhealthy food, because it makes you feel good. You have more energy, you sleep better, your mental health is in a better place. So it's really starting to take the process and taking the steps and the small steps to create these healthier habits, but then really reinforcing the behavior of, hey, this is what I want to do for me. This aligns with my values and my goals.
Your program, you offer 100% money back guarantee.
Yeah,
which is a terrific standard of integrity around your service. And it, for people who are afraid because they've failed again and again, that's sort of eliminating the barrier of fear that they're going to waste their money, and along with being frustrated again.
Yeah,
is so terrific, So maybe you could just kind of outline your core method, of, I assume you're pretty much a whole food diet. I mean, but go ahead. I don't want to fill in the blank.
Yeah. So when it comes to our nutritional philosophy, we have a philosophy of it matters what you do the majority of the time, not the minority. So, we'll aim for people to get 80 to 90% of their, overall nutrition and calories from whole nutrient-dense foods. But often, you're going to get enough of your vitamins, your minerals, and your fiber from that type of food. So if you want to have 10, 20% of a little bit of what you love, the odd bar of chocolate, some ice cream, factor in the minority of the time of the minority of your diet from these foods, you can definitely still enjoy these foods and be really healthy and get great results. And that's something that our clients have really aligned with, because these quote unquote diets in the past have been so restrictive and so painful that it's kind of put them off trying, versus when they're like, hey, you can actually eat these foods and you can feel full and you can feel satiated and you can enjoy a little bit of what you love, or even have the odd glass of wine, it becomes a lot more appealing. Yes, we're not saying you can have a bottle of wine twice a week if you still want to see great results, but you can still indulge from time to time on a little bit of the foods that you love, and creating that more of a positive relationship with food can be fantastic. As for our program and how we sort of guarantee results, because it's a very bold claim and statement to make, especially when it comes to people's health. Yeah, you can take a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. So like, how do we guarantee we get these ladies, guaranteed results? Like I said, we make sure everyone who comes into the program has that want and desire to actually start. If that's the case, we've got nearly 1,000 Trustpilot reviews now, and some of the common through lines have been, Body Smart will not let you fail. Like, our team and our coaches genuinely care and go above and beyond to help these ladies where sometimes they would typically drop out. We will go above and beyond. But a big one for us is we create clarity. So a client comes in, we understand what their ultimate goal is. We understand what health is to them and their values. And then we take them through a gamified process. So they start in a kickstart week, and then they move into level 1. And what we have now is a 5-level system, tiered, where it's a structured curriculum. So as you go through each level, as you complete level 1, you learn new habits, new skills, and new behaviors. And as you get to the end of that level, you have to take a test, and your coach has to sign you off, and you have to feel confident in your ability in level 1 before you move into level 2. And we do this with our clients to go through 5 levels before they become a Body Smart graduate. And when somebody becomes a Body Smart graduate, it means they've hit their goal weight, they're a healthy BMI, they feel confident, they feel in control, they feel empowered. They've often got a year of evidence behind them to say, I can be consistent. And they're in a really healthy, confident place where they feel like, hey, I can actually go and maintain the results I've achieved for the rest of my life. Because as you mentioned a little bit earlier, Russ, it's 85 to 95% of people who lose weight regain it all over the next 2 to 3 years. So the odds are kind of stacked against you. And it's coming back to what you said a little bit earlier, like people are viewing it as like a short-term diet or a short-term sprint instead of a holistic, and then that word gets thrown around with a bit woo-woo, but like a holistic lifestyle of how can I actually enjoy my health? How can I enjoy my body? How can I enjoy my food?
Right. Well, my wife and I both lost, she lost 70 pounds and I lost, 50.
Amazing.
Which was,
congratulations.
kind of how the whole thing started. And, I've been able to keep it off, and we've adjusted our life completely around upping our activity levels. Hydration is actually a really big piece of the puzzle for really controlling your weight and managing times when you kind of binge or something. You get off the track a little bit. If you can hydrate, just following an event like that, along with every day, but particularly if you've kind of done, again, enjoyed, or however you want to call it, indulged. And I would love to hear your kind of point of view on that.
Yeah, so most people are chronically dehydrated. When you wake up in the morning, you're the most dehydrated that you'll be all day. That's why when you go to the toilet, your pee or your urine will be at its darkest. So getting a glass of water as soon as you wake up is really important for just hydrating the whole body and giving you lots of energy. But then often people are just not drinking enough water throughout the day. And that's what is end up happening there is people are turning to food for water. So you can finish a meal and think you're still hungry, but what you actually might be is still thirsty because food has water in it. So it's sometimes just a great rule to drink like an 8-ounce glass of water, 20 to 30 minutes before a meal. I'm really trying to get somewhere between, I'd say around 65 and 100 ounces of water. If you're really active and you live in a hotter climate, it could be a little bit more than that. But as I said, most people are chronically dehydrated, drinking way too much coffee. And I'm not saying don't drink coffee or don't drink tea. I'm just saying drink more water. A great rule we always say to our clients in the morning is make sure you hydrate before you caffeinate. And it's just that little rule. It's just trying to put things in place. My girlfriend, Steph, she was struggling to get enough water in, especially in the morning. So she now leaves a glass of water in the bathroom. So when she gets up in the morning, As soon as she brushes her teeth, the glass of water is in front of her, and it's something called habit stacking. So she has the habit that she brushes her teeth in the morning. That's already there, and then she just stacks another habit on it where she's in the exact same situation. So now she has, I brush my teeth. As soon as I brush my teeth, I drink my glass of water. And it's just an easy way sometimes to form a new habit, is create the cue, which is the glass of water is in front of me doing a habit I already do, which is brush my teeth. As soon as I brush my teeth, I drink my glass of water. And in that way, she's getting 8 ounces of water in straight away at the start of the day. So yeah, hydration, really, really important for your energy levels, for your digestion, for your mood.
My buddy Richard gave me this. This is my little glass. It's about 30 ounces. Yeah, because it is crucial. And, it lubricates your joints. It really feeds the brain with the fluid that a brain needs to. Your brain burns so much of the energy of your body. People don't realize, if you don't hydrate, you actually don't have clear thinking.
It's one of those things that sounds so simple and so easy. People ignore it. Just drink more water and you'll have more energy. You'll have better cognition. You'll have better gut health. But it really is that powerful. And again, it's just a case of like you. I've got a big bottle here to make sure everywhere I go, I've got my water bottle. I'm constantly making sure that I'm hydrated, because I view drinking water as feeling good, feeling great. I'm not seeing like, I have to drink water and I don't like it.
Yeah, right. No, so as you step up from level 1 to level 5, okay, just in a general sense, what are the changes that you add to the program as you increase your level of involvement or process?
Yeah. So if we were to look at the 6 sort of core pillars of health, they're going to be sleep, your movement habits, your nutrition, your stress and emotional management, your social connections, and then your supplements and hormones. So as we start in the beginning, it's often just focusing on those bigger rocks. So how can we get more movement in? How can we get more whole foods into your diet? How can we start tracking food and start to create an awareness around food? As we start to get further into the levels, it will be more deep diving into your stress and emotional management. So we all have, bad days where our boss ticks us off or our kids are driving us a little bit crazy. And it's like, how do we manage our stress in those moments? So maybe we're not turning to food or we're turning to alcohol, and making sure that we're starting to, one, create the awareness. We always have to be problem aware before we become solution aware. So we have to have the awareness of the problem first. Often a lot of people understand that there's a problem or what the behavior isn't serving them, but they're not actually aware of what the problem is. So that's always a great place to start. And then really starting to form strategies, like unique strategies for you. So some people, when they get really stressed out, they'll turn to food. Other people, their appetite might get suppressed. For other people, they might deal with it in other negative ways. And again, it's just about raising that awareness and starting to create unique strategies for you to make sure that when this situation happens again, your response to it is much healthier and is going to continue to serve you moving forward. So the beginning, very much focused on sleep, movement, nutrition. As we start to get further into it, it's more about self-awareness and finding tools and strategies that you can use, whether that's journaling, managing your stress better, and then starting to take a step away from tracking food is quite monotonous and laborious. People don't really like to do it in the beginning. But if you haven't got a great sense of portion control and calories and macronutrients, it's a fantastic tool to use in the beginning. And we kind of see it as not a tracking tool, but like a planning tool. So instead of looking at like, I've got to track my calories, instead it's like, hey, I'm going to plan my meals. And it just allows you to have sound nutritional habits. Just like if you were to track your finances and you wanted sound financial habits, you would make a point of tracking your financials and looking at them on a regular basis and doing audits and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's great. With where because you concentrate on women, you mentioned hormones, which is for women, it's a much more variable aspect to weight. I would love for you to expand on that, because it's something that I don't understand much about, and I'm sure people would like to hear about it.
Yeah. So men's hormones are pretty consistent till around 25 to 30 years old. Then we start to see a bit of a decrease in testosterone, like sort of every year. And men do go through what's actually called a male menopause, but it's just a much more gradual, slower period. Now, women have many gynecological issues, which could be from polycystic ovaries, endometriosis, PMDD, and these can all cause hormonal imbalances that can affect you physically and can affect you mentally. You also have women's menstrual cycles, which can range anywhere from 21 to 35 days, not like a typical 28 days. And some women don't have too many issues with the menstrual cycle, and other women can really struggle at certain points in the cycle. And this can affect how you feel physically, and again, how you feel mentally and emotionally. So one of a key thing for any woman listening, and I always get a bit of backlash here because I'm a guy, but one of the best things that you can do for your mental health is actually get in tune with your cycle, and even get your partner on board as well. So if you know at certain points in your cycle, your energy is lower, and you don't feel as great, prioritizing a little bit more sleep over those 3 days in your cycle could really benefit you. If you know you really struggle on your nutrition on certain days of your cycle, maybe getting some meal prep done the days before is only going to make those days easier to stay on top of your health. Again, with your partner, if they know that, they might be able to lean in and support and help. And instead of seeing it as like a sort of like it's got to always be you, actually creating a helping the family understand certain parts of your cycle doesn't mean, it's not trying to say it in like a negative way. It's just women becoming more self-aware. I think even when we were speaking about nutrition a bit earlier, it's just becoming self-aware around what works for you. So that's a lot of issues that women can kind of struggle with. You've then also got prenatal. So you've got all the issues that come with women being pregnant. You've got prenatal, you've got depression while women are pregnant. You've got postnatal and postnatal depression, which again can come with a whole host of issues. A lot of women have never really struggled with the weight, and then they have kids and then they gain 40 pounds and like wonder how has this happened? Yeah. And then on top of that, you've got perimenopause, which can happen around 8 years before actual menopause. And then menopause happens. And menopause for men and women, in the most simplistic terms, is just a hormone deficiency. So it's just your hormones are starting to regress over time. And that can cause, again, from night sweats to hot flushes to brain fog to poor sleep. It's a very difficult time that a lot of women go through, and there isn't a lot of support. There isn't a lot of support in general around women's health. So it's multifaceted when it comes to hormones in women, and it's really about getting the right help. But one thing there's a common through line is that your sleep, your movement habits, your nutrition, your stress and emotional management, your social connections, they're like the bedrock of health. And the earlier you get them in a solid place, the more they will serve you through every aspect of your life. So whether you're looking to get pregnant or not, whether you're going through menopause, like having a solid foundation of sleep, movement, nutrition, stress management and social connections, having them all in a really healthy place will just continue to serve you through some of those more testing times in life.
Well, my wife struggled. She was a lawyer. And so very stressful job. Raised four kids, two of them boys, very stressful job. Live with a crazy guy like me, very stressful job, right? So she used particularly candy as because she doesn't drink. So it's the reward, right? For getting through some stressful situation. And I don't think that's unique to Kay, but I think that is something women do. And probably more than men. What men typically do is have a beer or go in that direction. I mean, you can't watch a TV program where somewhere in there's a stressful situation and they go drink, or there's a new relationship, they go drink. So alcohol plays a huge variable in your ability to maintain a healthy weight. How do you guide people in that?
Yeah, alcohol is this It's especially I'm in England, in the UK. It's very cultural, it's a very big sort of binge drinking sort of culture, and everything's celebrated around alcohol. You definitely are seeing with the younger generations, especially like Gen Z, there's a big push for going, sober and alcohol free, and there's a lot more alcohol free drinks coming about. But yeah, if we look at how alcohol is possibly having a knock-on effect in obesity and people's health and weight management, alcohol has a lot of calories. So if you want to,
all carbs, no value whatsoever, just straight carbs.
Yeah, so alcohol would be classed as like the fourth macronutrient, and they're very much classed as empty calories. So not only are you drinking your calories, which is, if you're looking to lose weight, it's something that you'd probably want to minimize or remove, which would be drinking your calories. But alcohol, you are drinking your calories. And then the next part of that is like, nobody makes good decisions after a few too many drinks. So, if you are a little bit more hungry because you've been trying to lose weight, and then you have a couple of drinks, that tenacity or that willpower that you maybe have to stay the course, kind of like, oh, that pizza seems really appealing right now. And then it's 2,000 calories of pizza, and the guilt kicks in because you're feeling a bit hungover. You've eaten a lot of food that maybe you didn't plan to. And then it's kind of, it's soddy. Like, what's the point? I'll overeat on Saturday, I'll overeat on Sunday. And then you jump on the scales on Monday morning and people have gained, 7 to 10 pounds, and like, oh my God, how has this happened? I've failed again. So it's not that you can't have alcohol. You can't have alcohol as a part of your life and as part of your diet. You've just got to have that awareness to be like, what's my relationship with alcohol? Does one drink always lead to 5? And then do I just like mess it up? Or can I actually have a glass or 2 of wine and stop and actually enjoy the wine, enjoy the connections with people? And it's really finding what that balance looks like for you. And that actually takes a bit of push and pull sometimes, and being okay with actually failing. So like, hey, if you want to go, right, you know what, I'd love to have a glass of wine on Friday night or a couple of beers, go for it. And then if you end up blowing it really badly, maybe that's kind of like, okay, maybe I'll try that one more time. It happens again, and it's really affecting your health goals and your weight loss goals. Hey, it's like, maybe right now we'll view weight loss as a season of your life. And this isn't, losing weight, I think a lot of people forget, is it's not a forever process. The goal with weight loss is to get to the goal weight or the healthy weight. And then you actually get more calories and things can actually become a little bit easier. So sometimes it's just viewing weight loss as a season. And hey, like if I have to abstain a little bit from drinking alcohol, if I really have not the best relationship with it, that's okay for a season. As long as like because we're focusing on our ultimate goal at the moment, which is to get healthy and to lose weight.
2-minute drill.
I took a 12-year-old and I was like, hey, you're getting ready for your first year as a freshman. You want to get ready for sports. What do you think your plate should look like? That 12-year-old could probably know I should avoid donuts. I should have some green on there. I should have some lean meat. It is a lack of education. Well, sometimes we get so lost in the intricacies, so we want to maybe shortcut or have a fast track. But in general, we know we shouldn't be eating that donut.
To touch on what Daniel was saying, we need to learn how to read labels a lot better. A lot of people don't even look at the label, let alone the calories, let alone the protein, let alone the carbs, let alone the fats, especially the ingredients, right? So try to avoid these processed foods as much as possible at these grocery stores, at these gas stations. The statement of you are what you eat can't be more true. You really are what you eat, and your body breaks it down and it goes into your cells. Learning labels will be very important.
The temptation is real. The temptation, sometimes it wins, and it's okay, because we came to understanding that like, if we eat an Oreo or whatever food that we eat, that's not gonna really set you back anything. It's not gonna kill your diet. It's not gonna kill, the progress that you made. So it's all in moderation. You can incorporate all those foods that you enjoy while you're still living that healthy lifestyle.
Remember, obesity is a medical condition, not a character flaw. To learn more about the NFL alumni's ongoing commitment to our community and kids, go to tackleobesity.com. Cheerleader performance.
Extremely critical. I would say, to have that support. Like I said, outside of each other, I would say watching the YouTube videos, watching these fitness programs, even though the person was behind a screen, but just having that person there to push you, to give you guidance on a specific program, I think that's, extremely critical, and it's necessary. Also, they motivate you. Even, like I said, even though they're behind a screen, come on, let's do it. Let's get it done. It's all motivation. So to me, that's like, you need that. You need to have that someone there, pushing you.
So in between that birth and your death, just like in sports and track and field, from your start to your finish, there's always going to be obstacles and situations that will try to tire you out. To try to make you say, why did I do this? Why am I doing this? To make you quit. So ultimate success in the game of life has 12 dynamic principles that I've learned and that has helped me go from my start to a finish in one phase of my life. I like to call that level 1. Now I'm working on level 2, level 3, level 4. So every morning we wake up, we're exposed to another level. And that's another opportunity to achieve ultimate success in life.
Remember, obesity is a medical condition, not a character flaw. To learn more about the NFL alumni's ongoing commitment to our community and kids, go to tackleobesity.com. Coach's Corner.
Having a coach is actually is a great thing, to be honest with you, in my mind, because a coach is going to always hold you accountable. A coach ain't going to be your friend. A coach is going to tell you the truth no matter what happens, and he or she are going to motivate you.
And you want to find you a coach that has already accomplished what you want to accomplish. So they're able to see things that you're not able to see. If you get you a coach that have already walked the path, so your path can be easy. So get you someone that can speak life into you, someone that can guide you, someone that has a system that's going to work for you.
This program, which is now called Tackle Obesity. So it went from let's talk about it, so let's get our guys well, to now let's inspire the world to tackle obesity themselves and empower people to do it. So we're partnering with a lot of different folks to do it. Reach out and communicate and train and inspire people, and then support them in their journey.
Remember, obesity is a medical condition, not a character flaw. To learn more about the NFL alumni's ongoing commitment to our community and kids, go to tackleobesity.com.
You're in England, but what % of your clients are actually in America?
About 70%.
Terrific.
Yeah.
They must love your accent.
Yeah, I've had to learn to speak a lot slower. It's definitely a few communication issues, but other than that, all good.
Yeah, no. So what? So do you? Are all your coaches females?
So we have 14 coaches at Body Smart. 10 are women and 4 are men. Some women actually do prefer to work with a guy, but like all of our coaches have got high levels of emotional intelligence. We coach with compassion and empathy, but we also, one of our taglines is that we cut the BS. And it's not just with all like the misinformation out there. We very much want to, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. We do cut the BS with that, but we also help people cut the BS with themselves. So we all have that inner monologue, that inner voice, that's telling us to go down the path of least resistance. I've sometimes called it like my inner bitch, I don't really want to work out this morning, but I can feel it getting really loud. And our coaches are, I would say, they're masters at being able to give somebody that tough love without offending them. And it's a real balancing act to do, but it's really how you help clients take the biggest steps forward and really feel proud of the actions that they're taking. Because after a couple of months of somebody being consistent and taking these steps that they didn't think were possible, you really start to build that evidence of like, wow, I can do this. And I did do this. And it really starts to reaffirm that self-belief of, wow, what else am I capable of? What else can I keep doing and keep, how further can I take this with my health? And you often find that as a byproduct of people getting their health and wellness and training in a great check, it spills over into other areas of their lives, whether that's their relationships, their careers. They want to go and try a new challenge because that self-belief comes back.
So is your model, is it a monthly commitment, or how does it work in terms of the client?
Yeah, so all of our clients come on for a minimum of 4 months. For 4 months to begin with, and then depending on where the client's at, they'll stay on for longer afterwards. So our goal is not to keep any clients forever. It's to get people to their weight loss goal and make sure that they have the character traits, the skills, and most importantly, the right belief system that they can go and sustain this for the rest of their life. So just like I said, 85 to 95% of people who lose weight regain it all back over the next 2 to 3 years.
Yep.
We know our Body Smart graduates are in that 5%. We've given them the habits, the skills, and the right belief system that they know they can go and do this for the rest of their lives. They know when the holidays come, or a birthday, or a vacation, or even the stuff that people don't really want to talk about, which is when illness and disease strikes, whether that's for yourself or for your family. These are often very emotionally testing times that can make it really difficult. And if you don't have that really strong bedrock of health in place, it can feel very easy in those moments to revert back to old habits and behaviors and see the weight quickly come back on.
Yeah, I think the rebound is it's the most devastating part of all of this, is that because you have to face, oh my God, I got to deal with it again,
Yeah.
And so obviously if you've had that experience during your coaching engagement, then you'll get those kind of training, if you will, during it. But once you're out on your own, are there libraries of content or anything like that as a former client I access, or how does that work?
Yeah, we give all of our clients a playbook to walk away with, and it's very unique to them, because where somebody might really struggle with emotional eating versus somebody else might have a different trigger, a huge key component of seeing success for you personally is becoming self-aware, knowing how you react in certain situations.
Sure.
And then how you're ultimately going to deal with them. So yeah, that's the key thing. For us, it's why we're able to create so much success with the clients is that they will often, like, I would actually, and this sounds a bit almost backwards to say, I would be more worried if a client was with us for 6 months and done everything perfectly for 6 months straight. Like, that would, in my eyes, I'd be more worried about that client than the client who's been here for 6 months and fell off a couple of times, but then being able to get back on, because they're putting in the reps to be like, hey, that was uncomfortable, or I wasn't proud of how I felt that weekend. But then they ultimately got back on track, stopped prioritizing their health, and understood that that's just a part of life. Life has seasons, things come and go. It's really hard at times, it's really enjoyable at times, and that's a part of life. And accepting that, and understanding on the days where you give 40%, you don't give 40%, you give 100. If that's actually 100%, if that's all you could give, it really just empowers people to keep taking those steps no matter what.
Yes. Well, one of the things we like to do is get short clips from our interviews where we then use those in our social media.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love for you to go through your 6 platforms and give us a short clip. And really, we're looking for something in the minute range about each of your, so your tip related to each of your core components, because you can just rattle them off one after the other is fine, but just to introduce it and then give your thoughts on it and see what we come up with.
Okay, fantastic. So for me, your 6 pillars of health are going to be your sleep. So aiming to get somewhere between 6 to 8 hours of sleep, and that's going to be the quantity component, but then you really want to be looking at the quality of your sleep as well. So this is how much deep sleep you're getting. And a few quick tips people could do is, reduce the caffeine intake. So try to have no caffeine 8 hours before bed. And then the big one would be trying to not be on screens, 30 to 60 minutes before you go to bed, because the light on the screens are really going to engage your brain and keep you awake. After that is going to be your movement habits. So that's the really second big one. A quick one here is most people can go into their phone and see how many steps they're doing. Now, 8 to 10,000 steps is a good recommendation to aim for, 8,000 to 10,000. If you're doing 3 or 4,000, just trying to bump that up even by 1,000 is a huge, big step. Stay consistent with that for a month, and then try to do a little bit more till you get to that 8 to 10,000 range. You've also got strength training is really important there, but I think just for the biggest return on investment, just trying to get them steps to 8 to 10,000 would be great to begin with. Your nutrition. So most people are eating the same 40 to 50 foods every single week. So all I would say is just start small. Try and swap out 1 or 2 foods a week or every other week for a healthier option. And a healthier option is often going to be more whole foods. And an easy way to think about a whole food is, let's look at a potato. So a potato would be a whole food. The next level of that being processed would be French fries. And the next level of that being processed is going to be a potato chip. So that's like a really processed version. You want to get as minimally processed foods, like that wants to make up the majority of your diet as possible. Then you've got, next up is your stress and emotional management. So this is really just those times where you maybe feel like you lose control, or you have an outburst of anger or emotions, really trying to just take a moment to sit in that and realize what's triggered you. Was it your boss? Was it your partner? Was it something else? Try to really manage that situation. And next time that happens, because it will happen again, try to create a different outcome with a different strategy. So instead of maybe turning to food or turning to alcohol, what could you do different? Could you go for a walk? Could you call a friend? Could you get a hot bath? Could you do something different? And I'm not saying it's going to work first time, but just have the open mindset to at least try. Next up is going to be your social connections. So it's, loneliness has become a real issue. People working from home, not socializing as much, making sure that you have social connections, spending time with friends, family. Actually, like, when's the last time you belly laughed? You want to be belly laughing a couple of times a week. It's fantastic for your health, your physical health, your emotional health. And it really just gets you in a healthy place. Next up is your supplements and hormones. And this is probably the least important, I would say, for most people to look at. Most people would benefit from a general multivitamin, like a gender-specific one. If you live in the UK or somewhere that's really dark, vitamin D, just a low dose of vitamin D can really be helpful. And then your omega-3s can be really beneficial as well. And they're like the 3 general supplements. Anything else, you'd want to really get blood work done to get recommendations.
Sure. If I have a doctor I'm working with, how does that interface with Smart Body?
With Body Smart, yeah. So we get a lot of referrals from doctors just from the success that we've been able to see. Just because people are going to do their yearly checkup, and the BMI is maybe a little bit too high. And a lot of people don't like BMI. It is good for general population, but another one is your height to waist ratio, and you want your waist to be no more than half of your height. And that's because it means you're carrying too much belly fat or too much of a spare tire, and it increases your chance of diabetes, heart disease, and some other illnesses that we would rather avoid. So for us, it doesn't as long as the doctor's not giving too much contradicting advice, most of the times it's a great partnership to work with. And a lot of the things that we're saying today, Russ, are just often some people are like, oh, it's too simplistic. And I think there's a big gap between knowing what to do and actually doing. And a lot of people might know the actions that they need to take, but knowing and doing is very different. A lot of people know how they would get fitter, but it's the practical actions that people need to take. So, for us, the biggest struggles the doctors have is that they can tell the patients and the clients what to do. It's the practical application that they struggle with. And that's where we're experts at motivating people, inspiring people, leading people, and really helping them create those habits and behavior changes that make a lasting change.
Yeah, those are great points. And you had that adage. I'm trying to remember that you mentioned. It was really excellent. I want you to repeat that because it's so good.
Which part? Sorry.
The adage you offered. It was something about your habits today, or you. Something to
it's show me your habits and I'll show you your future. And it is your habits very much how you act on a day-to-day basis is very much going to dictate what's going to happen tomorrow, next week, next month. So having healthy habits really do compound and enrich your life over time.
So how does a coach you've got a block, you've got a bad habit, right?
Yeah.
So how does a coach take you from where you're at? Because this is absolutely the core of habitual change. Is how do they take you from here to there? And you mentioned it, but I think it's a key point, which is this smart love, or the way you phrased it was great.
Yeah, it's really, when you create a new habit, there needs to be a cue, and then you really need to make it easy. So let's say we want to get a habit of going to the gym more often. Now, let's say we've got a gym that's 20 minutes the wrong way from where we live. And then we've got another gym that is on the way to work. Now, some people will go to the gym because they like it a bit more. That's 20 minutes the wrong way from work. But then they realize they've had the gym membership for 2 years and never been. Versus having the gym that's on the way to work, you can almost make it easier to pass. Like, you've got to drive past the gym every day and actively choose not to go in. So often setting your environment up to make it easier starts to help these habits to form in a much easier way. So the easier you can set your environment up for success, the easier it just becomes to your default. You just live a fitter and healthier lifestyle. And that's really the key. If you were to, let's say you were to get somebody who was really struggling with their weight, and say they come and lived with a family who were super, super healthy, by proxy, they would probably just start to become healthier over time. And it's probably got down to like the movement habits, the nutrition, the sleep habits, just how they generally live. You'd find a lot of things are just by default set up that help people live a healthier life. And for most people, that feels like it's a long distance away. And you don't need to worry about that. That's what overwhelms people. You really just got to focus on, what can I do today to get 1% better tomorrow? And it can be as simplistic as that, because the more... There's a great book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And his whole thing is, tiny changes, remarkable results. And that's what it is. A lot of people want to see that, like, they want to go all or nothing. I'm going to go to the gym 5 times next week. I'm going to not eat any chocolate. I'm not going to have any alcohol. Everyone wants to go 100 miles an hour. And then they wonder why they do it for 2 weeks and then drop off. A better solution is to have more of a zoomed out approach. Look at this as a 6 to 12 month sort of approach, and just small little steps that you can take every single day that don't feel that difficult. And then you look back over a couple of weeks, you look back over a couple of months, and you've made fundamental lifestyle changes, and you're starting to see results. And that's where a year goes by and you're like, holy crap, I've lost 50 pounds. And I feel so much better. Like, how did that happen? And it's just by those small, consistent steps every single day.
Well, we know obesity is the mother of 200 comorbidities, starting with diabetes, and then diabetes increases your risk for heart disease about 4-fold. The thing about heart disease in women is they tend to not have a heart attack. They tend to die from a heart attack. Wow. Whereas men tend to survive it, the first one, but then not the second one. Not always, and certainly but it is something that people don't realize the importance of what you're doing in terms of this. So the investment they make in their coaching is not about their weight. It's about the extension of their life, and the things that you're able to do in your life. So framing it from that point of view, what are your comments on that one?
Oh, it's huge. We've had husbands message us and say, I feel like I've got my wife back, and a lot of people feel like they've got themselves back in their life. The amount of parents that have declined taking their children to social events because they feel embarrassed about how they look, and then they feel the guilt around the children, or women who are not putting their hand up for that next step in their career because they don't feel confident enough to do so. So yes, there's all of these parts of, you've got your lifespan, which is, how long we live, but then you also have your health span, which is how long we go before we get any sort of disease. And for a lot of people, you want to have as long of a health span as possible. And that means, hey, when we're in our 50s, 60s, and even 70s and beyond, we still feel great. We still have energy. We still can get up with a spring in our step and enjoy our lives. And yes, that's going to give you, mastering your health now is definitely going to serve you in the future decades to come.
Sure.
But it is also really going to enrich your life today. There's you hear some people say, oh, we all have 24 hours in a day, which is, even though that's technically true, it's for some people, they have much less than 24 hours because of the responsibilities and the commitments that they have. But for me, fundamentally, one of the things that I believe people can do to feel like they have more time is have more energy. So if you have more energy, when you finish work at 5 o'clock, you've got a spring in your step to go and do more. If you've got no energy, the day ends at 5 o'clock. All you want to do is go home and be a couch potato because you're so low energy. So getting your health in the best place possible today, yes, it's going to extend your life expectancy. Yes, it's going to increase your health span, but it's also going to enrich every part of your life today and every day moving forward.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, we have we're building a network of influencers that we work with, and we include them in our radio show. We're on 3 markets, and we'd love to invite you to we'll have a separate conversation about that, because one of the things we're doing is supporting really coaches like yourself. I mean, we don't really try to, anyway, it's so important what you're doing. I don't know, the reality is it's hard to quantify the impact of so many lives that you've moved from where it was to something so much better. And, that is, a wonderful career. I'm wondering how many of your coaches actually are graduates.
Yeah, we've had a couple of our coaches who have gone through their own weight loss journeys, quite big weight loss journeys, and that's inspired them to become coaches. It's actually really hard to get a job as a coach at Body Smart. You've got to have at least, 5,000 hours of experience and have a long list of sort of, social proof that you can actually get results. And even though a lot of people might look at the training element and the nutrition element, a huge thing for us is behavior change. Like, all of our coaches have to go through some sort of qualification that shows that they can actually help shift and change people's behaviors, because it's so important in making that lasting change. But yeah, it's the changes that it makes. It's hard to even quantify sometimes. Like, you change a woman's life, she's in the best place possible. She becomes a better mother, a better daughter, a better co-worker. And then that just it's like a positive ripple effect that affects every single person that individual interacts with. And, the fact that we're doing that on such a scale, it's an extremely rewarding job. It's a huge part of why I get up in the morning and why the team do as well.
That's, I didn't realize your coaches had that depth of background. So the only thing I think missing from your website is that is impressive. Very, very impressive. The extent of their background. That is, it's so significant, because you're right. You've got to select people who are really experienced, have the, not just wannabes, but are really, excellent at what they do and have real world experience and successes. So I think that's phenomenal. So, Jaymie, what I'd love to do is wrap it up now, but I'd love to schedule kind of a conversation where, because what you're doing again is totally aligned with Tackle Obesity. I'd love to kind of open the deck as to how we could work together. So, if you would, let's schedule something next week and see Definitely. If we can't make this move. Well, listen, thank you for your time today. It was a fantastic interview. Is there any closing thoughts you want to add, please?
No, cheers, Russ, and thank you for having me on. I guess if anyone else would like to find out more about what we do, it's bodysmartfitness.com, and I am at Jaymie Moran, or if you Google Body Smart Fitness on Instagram, you'll be able to find us.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Again, Jaymie, thank you, and we'll be in touch next week. Thanks.